November 4th, 2025, as drone strikes scar distant dunes and cyber shadows stalk the strongholds of today, stop. Breathe the ash of yesteryear. Feel the weight? This isn't a catalogue of carnage for clicks or conquests. It's a cataclysmic confessional, a cinematic cry from the collective grave where humanity's hubris howled against the heavens. Wars, those voracious voids, have devoured 500 million souls, pruning populations like plague, redrawing maps in the marrow of the murdered. From steppe storms that swallowed empires to trench tombs that choked continents, we'll wade the wounded waters, hear the heroes' last gasps, the widows' wordless wails, the children's choked choruses of why. Not to numb with numbers, but to ignite the nerve, for in their blood, our bonds are born, our blindness burned away. The dawn breaks bloody. Will you turn from the tide or dive into the deluge? The abyss awaits, and it has your name. 1206, the boundless steppes birth a breaker. Temujin, tempered in tribal treachery, ascends as Genghis Khan, his eyes embers of orphaned outrage. No cradle of kings, a youth yanked from yaks at 9, father felled by foes. He forges a family from the frozen fringes, his hordes a human hurricane. 40 million felled in the fury, 11% of the world's 360 million, a cataclysmic cull carving the largest contiguous conquest in Chronicle. The maelstrom mounts. 1219's Khwarizm cataclysm. Envoys eviscerated ignite the inferno. Samarkand's 100,000 sacked in a week. Heads heaped in horror hills. Nishapur 1221. 1.7 million massacred for a murdered general. Mothers and maidens mingled in the melee. The air acrid with agony. China's choke. Jin dynasty's jewels. Juggernaut ed. 30 million in the Yangtze's yellowed yawn. Kublai's 1279 Xiangyang siege starving 1 million in moats of misery. Real resonances, Persian poet Juvaini's quill quakes. Cities like carpets unrolled, unpeopled in an hour, the earth echoing with the empty. A Korean chronicler's cry. Our kings kneel in Khan's Khansate, our kin's bones bleaching the Baekje plains. The why? Unity's unholy urge. Steps splintered by strife. Genghis's gospel of galactic governance. Yasa laws lashing loyalty from the lash. By 1368's Yuan Yon, the storm stills. But the scars. Steps scarred with 40 million silence. A legacy of law amid the lament. The Khan's Khanate crumbles, but the crimson current courses on. 1850. Qing's quivering quagmire. Opium's octopus ing the empire. Unequal edicts emasculating the dragon. Births a biblical blaze. Hong Xiuquan, a Hunan hunchback haunted by hallucinations, hails himself heaven's half-brother, his god worshippers, a grotesque gospel grafting Genesis to the Great Wall. Jintian, 1851. 10,000 ignite the insurrection, swelling to 600,000 in a year. Nanjing's 1853 fall, forging Tianjin, heavenly capital, a utopia unhinged, foot-binding flogged, women wielding whips and words in the army of the female vengeance. The Tempest torches, 20-30 million in the tinderbox, 5% of China's 400 million, a civil conflagration consuming the continent. Anqing 1861, 100,000 in the anvil of assault, starvation's sacrament. Two-legged mutton in the siege's stew. Suzhou 1863, purges pruning the pure, 50,000 in the heavenly king's holy holocaust. Real requiems, missionary Meadows memoir. The Yangtze yawns with yellowed youth, Taiping triers turning tyrants, their new Jerusalem, a new Golgotha. A Nanjing nun's notebook. Tuesday's triumph, Thursday's treason, heads hewn in heavenly halls, the faithful feeding the fishes. The why? Messianic madness, colonial cuts cutting deep, peasant penury's powder keg, Hong's heavenly hubris clashing Qing's Qiang. By 1864's Nanjing Nadir, 100,000 in the sack, Hong's silk suicide, his son's surrender in sobs. The tempest tapers, but the toll? A demographic deluge, dynasties dreading the debt of divine delusion. Heaven's kingdom crumbles in hell's hot hearth. September 1st, 1939. The world's wound widens. Hitler's horde hammers Poland. Stalin's shadow pact sealing the slaughter. A global Golgotha grinding 70 to 85 million, 3% of 2.3 billion. Civilians 50 to 55 million in the crosshairs of cruelty. Europe's eclipse. Blitzes 50,000 in Britain's battered boroughs. Barbarossa's 27 million Soviet in the steppes slaughter. Leningrad's 1 million in 872 days starvation siege. Bread rations reduced to boot leather and hope. Asia's Armageddon. Nanjing, 1937's prelude. 300,000 in 6 weeks savagery. Comfort women, conscripted in comfort's cruel counterfeit. Pearl's 2,400 in the Pacific Pyre. Iwo Jima's 26,000 in 36 days inferno. Okinawa's 200,000 in the Typhoon of Steel. Holocaust's heart of darkness. 6 million in gas chambers and ghettos. Treblinka's trains to the showers. Babi Yar's 33,000 in 2 days ditch. Real reverberations. A Bataan Death March diary. 76 miles of hell, 10,000 thirsty tongues tasting torment, the sun a sadist on our skins. Hiroshima's haiku from Hibakusha. Picadon, flash boom, my shadow sister smiles on the sidewalk stone, silence sings eternal. The why? Ideology's inferno, fascism's fever dream, imperialism's itch, revenge's rotten root. By 1945's atomic absolution, 200,000 vaporized in vapor, the war whimpers, empires embalmed, a world wounded beyond words. The apocalypse abates, but the ashes ache eternal. June 28, 1914. Sarajevo's shot shatters the summer. Franz Ferdinand's fall fells the fragile peace. Alliances avalanche into Armageddon. 15 to 22 million in the maw. 9 million military mangled. 13 million civilians caught in the churn. The Western Front's wound. Marne's 500,000 in the first frantic fall. Verdun's 700,000 in 10 months meat grinder. Ils ne passeront pas. A defiant dirge over the dead. The East's endless entropy. Tannenberg's 150,000 in the Teutonic trap. Brusilov's 1 million in 1916's breakthrough bloodbath. Gallipoli's 250,000 in the Dardanelles' deadly dance. Anzac's light horse lost in the landing lunacy. Gas's ghostly grip. Ypres 1915, chlorine choking 5,000 in the first foul fog. Phosgene's phantom fingers fumbling for life. Real requiems. Wilfred Owen's ode. Bent double, like old beggars under sacks, knock-kneed, coughing like hags. Gas, gas. A French poilu's postcard from the Passchendaele Pass. The mud mates with the missing, my brother's bayonet bent in his belly, the earth eats its own. The why? Nationalism's noose tightening, imperialism's itch inflamed, alliance's albatross around the neck of the old order. By 1918's armistice ache, empires autopsied, Ottoman ossified, Habsburg hollowed, 15 to 22 million marking the modern malaise. The war to end all wars whispers, but the wire wounds weep on. 755 AD. Tang's Twilight Tango turns tragic. Emperor Xuanzong's uxorious excess with Yang Guifei fogs the Forbidden City, and Lushan, the Sogdian Turkic general gorged on grudges, gorged on the northern garrisons, swells his standard in revolt from Fanyang, 200,000 thunder to the throne, toppling Chang'an in a moon's mournful measure. Xuanzong fleeing to Sichuan's shadows, Guifei garroted in the gorge for the guard's grievance. The agony's arc. 13 to 36 million in the abyss. 1/6 of the Tang's 60 million. A demographic doomsday dousing the dynasty. Luoyang's loot, 756. 4 million in the first fall's frenzy. Tong Pass, 757. On's anvil assaulting 100,000. Chang'an's reconquest, 757. Xu Siming's son slaughtering 200,000 in the second sack. Famine's famine. Cannibalism's curse in the capital. Easy meat from the enemy. Rivers red with the routed. Real relics. Dufu's despair. The state is ruined, yet the hills and streams remain. In spring the city grows green with grass and trees. Where is the former home? The bow of war hangs at the king's side. A loyalist's lament in the annals. En's army advances on autumn winds, leaving winter's widows to wail over wasted wheat, the empire's entrails emptied. The why? Ambition's abscess bursting, border barons' bitterness at eunuch emperors, poetry's paradise poisoned by power's pox, Yang's yoke yanking the young to the yoke. By 763's final fall, An's line liquidated, the Tang teeters on, a 13 to 36 million toll, scrolls scarred with the saga. The agony abates, but the annals ache with the absent. If this crimson chronicle clawed your conscience, kindle like below, subscribe to scour the scrolls and carve in comments, which war wounds deepest? Until the next archive awakens, honor the hushed,